Hello there everyone, and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2 on this fine Tuesday night. We're here at Kota for today's race, a track that a lot of people really don't like, but that some people absolutely love. For example, Lancer in Elite and Tier 1, he loves this track, but most people do not like it. So going to be an interesting Grand Prix, this one, especially with both championships still very much in the balance. But as we get everything enabled on the screen, and the drivers get out on their outlaps. Jackalacco, the defending champion, first out on track today. But I'll run you quickly through the standings. So, top of the standings is Season 9 champion Lawrence D with 44 points. And then it's defending champion Jackalacco in second place with 41 points. And then it's two-time champion LB in P3 with 37 points. So 7 points between the three Tier 2 champions on this grid. Excluding Darth Nihilus, but he's still a reserve as I currently speak. But I'm hoping he'll take a permanent seat at some point, because he's pretty much turning up every week at the moment. So fingers crossed. Yeah, it is LB. Jacko and Lawrence, the main ones to watch. Then it's Robsu on 31 points. Aces, unfortunately, is injured today, or ill, sorry. He's very ill today, so best wishes to Aces. Hope he gets well soon, but he is not going to be on the grid today. So he's still in 5th place on 30 points, and Robsu on 31 points in 4th place. Keep an eye on Robsu. His form is a bit up and down, but when he's on it, he's really on it so far this season. As Jackalacco is going to get us started in the Alpine. Going down towards turn 1, DRS open all the way. It's pretty much a blind braking zone. You've got to just judge it, and Jacko misses the apex by about a country as he comes through turn 2. And now this tricky S section, flat through the first left-right, flat through the next left if you're brave enough. I think Jacko was. And then the next right is more braking needed. Very nice line through these two corners from Jacko. That is lovely through there. And he's going to be thinking, well, I'm not going to be able to do that again. As he comes into Sector 2 now, down the gears to this difficult left-hander to get the power down. And yeah, snap of velocity on the exit from Jacko. Very close to invalidating there. He cut all the way across the corner, nearly invalidates on the straight there as he heads down towards the corner using all of the track that he possibly can. Brakes at about 120 meters into this left-hander, and now the very tricky Sector 3 at Kota. It's a slow right-hander, which is hard to get the power down, and then an off-camber left-hander, which is even harder to get the power down out of. Jacko's done fairly well through there. All the way down to the last two corners. This one completely blind corner, really difficult to get right. And now to the final corner for Jacko. Brakes at the appropriate time, hits the apex, doesn't use all the track on the exit, but it's a 34.3 from the defending champion, and Tier is 7.5 tenths behind. So clearly it wasn't that bad. The championship leader's 8 tenths behind. Jackalacco's nailed that, but he hasn't, because Mania 93 goes to provisional pole with a 34.0. That's an outrageous effort from Mania, who qualified 18th last week. And he's looking like a proper threat for the top positions with a lap like that. Krauser in Sector 2 right now. His teammate, we've also got Lucas in the Ferrari on a lap. Darth is invalidated, so nothing for the Season 6 champion, Ferrari, who was P2 in qualifying last time out in Canada. Is also starting a lap. He invalidated his first one, but I think that was just his out lap, as Darth now comes to the last corner as well. The former Tier 2 champion comes across the line to try again on now 2-lap-old soft tyres. Ferrari coming through Sector 1. pretty decent through there. 25.6 in Sector 1. Hello, LB in the chat. I don't know why I'm the APPF1 warden now, but okay. We won't see LB, by the way, in qualifying today. He does have a qualifying ban, so he will start from the back. He can come out and drive on the track a bit, but he can't set a lap. That's the crucial thing. But Rafferrari, DRS open all the way down this long straight in Sector 2. And now down the gears for the left-hander into the tricky final sector. What can the Spanish driver do? He's been on form the last couple weeks. Rapid improvement from this man, and hope for more to come as he comes into the final sector now, or the final few corners now. Flat out through those right-handers, very wide at the apex. That'll lose him at least a tenth, despite being flat out, because he wasn't hitting the inside. But through the final corner he comes. It's looking pretty decent. It's looking more than decent. It's provisional pole for Rafferrari, a 33.6. Who can beat that? Not Darth Nihilus right now. He's invalidated. Same with Lucas Rowe. What about Scott in the Haas? Coming through Sector 1, coming to the end of Sector 1 and now into the middle sector for the ESRL league owner. We've got Robsu on an outlap, we've got Enchiladadad on an outlap as well. Lucas Rowe giving it another go, as is Darth through turn 1. He's got no ERS left, so in fact he's not even using the ERS, so I don't know why he's kept going here and not just come straight into the pits, but may just want to get something on the board, if anything. Krauser's gone to P4, by the way. That was happening while we weren't watching, so decent from him. Is anyone else on a lap? Tier, yes, he was on a lap, and a big improvement to P3 for the Ferrari driver. But still half a second off of that time from Rafferrari, which is looking very good at the moment. Robsu in Sector 1, though, at the moment. The Finnish driver looking to challenge. Scott looking to challenge. He goes to the front row, just 3/10 behind Rafferrari's time. And the second driver to venture into the 1 minute 33s. So he's looking pretty good at the moment is Scott. Darth Nihilus coming into the final sector. Again, he hasn't used ERS this whole lap, so keep that in mind. Lucas Rowe through the final corner. Finally going to get something on the board, but it's a 2-minute lap, so that is not representative for him at the moment. Meanwhile, Robsu coming to the end of the middle sector as well. Enchiladadad just starting on a lap. JB coming with some pace as LB, and yeah, he absolutely is. That's Mania 93 for anyone who doesn't know, otherwise known as JB. But Robsu coming into the final sector. There's a McLaren, that's Rafferrari starting a lap as well, I think, on the mini-map. As Robsu now into the final couple corners, this blind left-hander nails it pretty much on the exit as well. Into the final corner for Robsu. What's it going to be across the line? It's a 34.4 P6 for the Finnish driver. It's not too bad for an opener, but he'll want better than that, I think. As Lucas Rowe has invalidated, so he's going to have to go into the pits, get a new set of tyres on and try again, I think, as Darth Nihilus has done. Enchiladadad into the final sector as well. Sumo Gilligan starting the lap finally. I don't know what took him so long, but he's finally on track. We've got to keep an eye on everyone here, though. Enchiladadad, I think Jack was starting a lap. Lawrence is starting a lap as well, just behind Lucas Rowe. There's a Haas getting out of the way. That'll be Scott. Enchilada to P2. Great lap from the Williams driver, just 700ths behind Rafferrari, but couldn't topple the McLaren driver. Lucas Rowe into the pits. Who's on a lap here? Is it Mania? He's on an out lap, so who's going to be next to cross the line? I think it's going to be our provisional pole sitter, Rafferrari, but he's a 10th down in the middle sector, so he's going to need a big improvement. We've got 10 people watching the stream. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Rafferrari into the pits. No improvement for the Spanish driver as it stands. Who's going to be next? Krauser coming across to start a lap. And yeah, he hasn't invalidated that the last corner, thankfully. Robsu, I think, is coming into the pits, so we're right on board with Sumo Gilligan as he comes around the final few corners of the circuit into this blind left-hander, and now to the last corner, all the way on the curb. Down the gears into second gear, in fact, into the last corner. Bit of a snap on the exit, but it's P3 for Sumo. Great stuff. Great opening lap from the British driver. My ever-present podcast partner as well, Alex G, into the final corner in the other Mercedes. Meanwhile, can he match Sumo? Bit of a slide through that corner, but it's very good. In fact, it's provisional pole for the Ukrainian driver out of absolutely nowhere, and that was with a snap in the final corner. Lawrence improves to P8. In the meantime, the two Alpines down in 7th and 8th right now. Krauser into the middle sector. We're coming to the end of the middle sector. Is he going to be improving here? Yes, by 2.5 tenths. It would be just enough to get him to P10, but not quite any further than that. He's going to need more time gained in the final sector. That was Mania 93, also improving to P2 in the other Aston Martin. Darth and Hill are starting a lap, but we've got to ride on board with Krauser, see if he can do any improvement. But Mania, Alex G, both of them looking very, very quick here at COTA. The usual grid order is very spread out at the moment. Krauser goes to P7. It's just enough to get into the mid-pack, but he's not far off the top 5 at all. And then there's a little gap to the top 4, and then they are very close together as well. Less than a tenth between Alex and Mania. 33.5 is the time to beat. Is anyone on a lap right now? Sumo coming in, Mania and Alex on in-laps. Darth Nihilus is on a lap, though, in the Red Bull. So right on board with the Mexican driver, the Season 6, I believe. I've been saying Season 6. Season 6. Tier 2 Drivers' Champion. As he comes down into the... onto this long straight. We'll see a lot of overtaking here in the race. And now into the final sector. Is he going to be on a decent pace through the middle? 1 minute 3.0. Oh, but he's very wide on the exit there. And Darth struggling at the moment to get to grips with the Circuit of the Americas here in Texas. But into the final couple corners he goes. Got to hold on to the inside there, brake for this blind corner, just throw your car through and hope that it makes it, and it has done for Darth. He's wide of the apex at the final corner, but he's just going to be happy to get something on the board, and it's not bad. P5 for Darth Nihilus. He'll be pretty happy with that one. Lucas Rowe coming through Sector 1 as well in the Ferrari. I think he's going to be the next to set a lap, unless it's going to be Robsu, who's currently on an out lap. No, so it won't be him. He's down in P12 as Robsu. He's got a lot of improvement to do. Lucas Rowe hasn't even set a competitive lap time yet. As who was that improved? I think it might have been Scott improving up to P7. No one improved. It was just a little flash on the graphic for some reason. Lancer says he doesn't expect anything less than a win from Scott tonight. Well, I'm sure Scott will be very happy to hear that, Lancer. It's good to have you in the chat. I was just mentioning earlier that you love this track, one of the few people to absolutely love this track, as opposed to hate it, as most people do. Robsu coming to the end of his outlap. Lucas saw a big snap there, though, from the Ferrari driver as he comes into the last couple of corners now. Not too bad on the exit of the penultimate corner, and now into the final corner he goes, throws the car in, gets on the power. It's going to be a decent lap. It's going to be more than decent. He's been on the bottom of the standings the whole session, hasn't had a time on the board. As soon as he gets something out there, it's a 33.4. It's provisional pole for the Italian driver. I don't think even he would have expected that one in his wildest dreams. Robsu coming through Sector 1 now as well. He's another driver who's got a lot of pressure on him right now. Scott's into the pits. There's no improvement from the Haas driver. He's going to have to try again. There's 3 minutes left. It's not a lot of time. It's just enough to get one more lap in. Ferrari starting a lap as well. Don't forget about him. He was on provisional pole for much of this session. Plenty of people getting out for outlaps now. It's about that time for the final runs of the qualifying session. Looks like Sumo has saved a set of softs, perhaps. Lance has said that this track suits his driving style. Fair enough. Robsu 6/10 up from the AlphaTauri driver. Huge improvement. He needs to keep hold of it in the final sector, though. It's easier said than done through those last couple corners, especially. Lewis in the chat supporting Sumo. LB says it's going to be interesting to see how the Alpines do. Yeah, absolutely. 10th and 11th they're sitting at the moment. It could be 11th and 12th after this lap from Robsu. Into the final corner he goes in his AlphaTauri. It's not a little bit wide. It looked like it would be. It's P6. He's lost a 10th in the final sector, but still much, much better from the Finnish driver. And he's into the top 6. Pushes the Alpines down another position, which is big for the constructors. Alpine currently leading that by 17 points. But Lucas Rowe coming into the pits, so he's going to have, or maybe not coming to the pits, maybe going for one more lap, but he's only got half of his battery left. But he's going to go for it anyway. He's got Rafferrari approaching behind him, who is on a lap, but no, it's not a good lap. So Rafferrari is going to have to go again. And the final runs are approaching. I really genuinely think anyone can get pole here. It is wide open. Enchiladadad in sector 1 right now, 3/10 down on pole as it stands. Plenty of people on outlaps, pretty much the entire grid. With Robsu coming through down towards the middle sector. No, he's not improving right now. He's not on a lap. So that is Robsu's qualifying over. Enchiladadad in the middle of sector 2 right now. LP prefers watching quali than doing quali. But Mania in sector 1 as well. He could get pole here. Rafferrari's invalidated, so no pole position for him today. But still, the improvement is plain to see. He's up there in P4. He will probably drop down if people improve. But Enchiladadad, they're coming towards the end of his lap. Who's that coming across the line? It's a Mercedes. It's Alex just starting a lap. Darth starting a lap as well. There's an Alpine. Is that Lawrence? No, it's Jacko starting a lap. Ferrari just behind him. I think that's Tier starting a lap as well. Yes, it is. What about Enchiladadad? He's coming into the final few corners. Scott is starting a lap as well. He'll be the last to set a lap in this session. 15 seconds to go. Excuse me. As Enchiladadad into the final corner, he's a little bit too much on the inside on exit, and he's only improved by half a tenth. It's not enough to improve his position. Rafferrari's invalidated. That's the end of quali. Lucas Rowe coming into the pits. Everyone on their final runs. Who's this? It's Sumo Gilligan coming into the final sector. Sumo Gilligan is 4/10 up in the middle sector. What can he do in these final 2 corners? Blind corner for the penultimate left-hander, and now hit the apex and get as wide as you can on the exit. Use all of the track. It's pole for Sumo Gilligan at 33.2. Can he hold on to it? Mania is into the pits. No improvement for him. What about the Alpines? Lawrence in as well. Nothing for him either. What about his teammate Alex G? Could it be a Mercedes 1-2? It's no improvement in the middle sector, but what can Alex do in the last couple of corners? Can he put it on the front row and lock out a perfect qualifying for Mercedes? Into the final corner he goes. Ash is happy in the chat as well. It is a front row for Alex G. He's just less than a tenth off Sumo. Can Sumo possibly have gotten pole here? Jackalacco P7. Tia no improvement. Darth no improvement. Robsu's coming across the line. Scott as well is 6.5 tenths up. Scott could spoil the party here. He comes through the final corner. He can't do it. He lost a ton of time in the final sector. It's only P6. Enchiladadad not improving. Robsu, can he spoil the party round the final corner? It's nothing for Robsu. It's P5. It is a big improvement. It's not enough for the front row. It's a Mercedes 1-2. It's Sumo on pole position. Oh my goodness. What a qualifying session we had here in Texas. It is Sumo Gilligan on pole position. I'm laughing at Lawrence saying he's muting the chat in the Discord. But it's Sumo on pole. It's for Mercedes 1-2. What a performance. Alex G in P2. Lucas Rowe P3. Mania, great qualifying for him on the second row. Robson and Rafferrari on row 3. Scott and Enchiladad row 4. Look how close these times are. Jack Alaco P9. Good improvement from the defending champion at the end. Dartha Hillis, Krauser, Tier. Lawrence, season 9 champion, down in 13th place. And LB starting from the back with his quali ban. This is it, says Ash in the chat. And, well, Sumo is going to be absolutely bricking it. He really is. LB. Oh, I'm waiting for the inevitable of Sumo getting taken out at some point in this race. It's just, I'm waiting for the inevitable. The clip on YouTube is going to be something else. But we will see. So we get underway for the formation lap. It's a Mercedes front row lockout. And let's have a look at the tyres. It's mediums for the top 4, as well as Rafferrari and LB from the back, also starting on mediums. Then we've got soft tyres for Robsu, Scott, and Lawrence in P13. That's very interesting. And then we've got hard tyres for P8 all the way down to P12. Enchiladad, Jacko, Darth, Krauser, Tier, all on the hard tyres. That quali was crazy. It's astonishing. At one point I thought Enchiladad's got a real shot at pole. He's ended up in P8. Rafferrari was on provisional pole for like 10 minutes. And he ends up P6. What a crazy qualifying that was. Still not quite over it. Sumo and Alex building a bit of a gap to those behind. It's the formation lap, lads. It's not time to build a gap quite yet. You can wait for that on the next lap. But, yeah, no. This is a huge opportunity for the Mercedes drivers. They're currently sitting in 7th place in the Constructors on a mere 29 points. 56 points behind leaders Alpine after 3 rounds. I think they're pretty much out of the fight for the Constructors' Championship unless they keep on banging in 1-2s. But this is a big opportunity for them to get themselves more in line with the teams above them, because they're 11 points behind Aston Martin, and then there's only 10 points between Aston in 6th and Haas in 3rd. So, yeah, big opportunity for Mercedes here. Maybe they can get themselves into the top 3 in the Constructors, but COTA tends to be a pretty unpredictable track at the best of times. And of course we've got LB starting at the back, as well as Lawrence. Don't forget about him. Don't ignore his quali pace. He's much better in the race, as we always say. But we're about to line up on the grid. It is Sumo Gilligan on pole position. I don't know how many pole positions he's had in his APPF1 career, but it can't be more than 10. And, well, out of something like 250 starts in his career. So let's find out if he can convert. Two, three, four, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the American Grand Prix. It's a brilliant start from Alex from P2. Sumo doesn't get away well. Lucas Rowe gets away very well. We're nearly 4 wide into turn 1, but not quite. Everyone gets through fairly cleanly. Sumo leads the Grand Prix through turn 1. Lucas Rowe gets past Alex. Great move from the Ferrari driver. Robsu already up to P4 on the softs. Scott as well trying to make moves. Let's switch to where is it? Position change. There we go. So a lot of people gaining and losing one place each. Mania losing 3 places. Disastrous start for him. He's down to P7. Lawrence gaining 2 already. LB staying in last place for now, just watching and waiting as Alex and Robsu now go side by side. Robsu down the inside with those soft tyres, and he's up to P3 with the better grip, but Alex gets the better of him on the exit, and they head down towards the next corner, side by side nearly. Lucas Rowe's right behind Sumo as well for the lead of the race. He doesn't choose to send it on lap 1, and no surprise there. Good, sensible driving, but I'll tell you who is sending it. Jack Alaco down the inside of Enchiladadad, and I think there's damage to that Williams perhaps, but he's down the inside of the Alpine of Lawrence, but no, there's no damage. He's just lost a couple places, did Enchiladadad. So he's down to P11. He's down 3 places as well. What a horrible first lap for him. Alex down 2, but he's lost 1 place to Lucas off the start and 1 place to Robsu on the soft. So it's not too bad. It looks bad, but it's not too bad in the grand scheme of things. As Lucas Rowe right behind Sumo now. The gaps are going to glitch out on the side, but they will fix themselves by the end of lap 2. They always do. But Ferrari through turn 1 in P5 at the moment. He's had a decent start, as has Scott. Enchiladadad and Krause are now going at it. This Williams driver is losing a ton of pace here. I don't know what's happened to him. Maybe he does have damage after all, but I have no idea how he's had such a bad start, and he seems to be just going backwards as LB gets past here, who's now running in 14th place out of 14, and a little snap for the Ferrari on the exit there as well, as LB and Tier swap places. Wait, what happened? Oh, Krause has gone round. Krause around in lap 2, on lap 2 here in the middle sector. He's going to be disappointed with that one, but a long way to go for Krause, who's on a tough run of form, I think it's fair to say. We'll cut back to the front. Sumo just leading Lucas Rowe at the moment, but for how long will he maintain that advantage? The Italian looks very quick today, as does Robsu on those softs at the moment. We'll switch back to the tyres so you can see. Hello Red Flame Joe, good to see you, and no problem at all, my pleasure to commentate on Sumo Gilligan taking pole position and leading a race. But yeah, Lucas Rowe just behind him, and Robsu as well on those soft tyres. Alex G going very wide there at the penultimate corner. I think Ferrari did as well, as they head down towards turn 1 for the 3rd time. Lucas Rowe setting the fastest lap for now, but here comes Robsu. Oh, sorry, here comes Alex on the inside of Robsu, but backs out in the end. DRS now enabled, so we're going to have the infamous DRS train around Kota. That's about to materialise. Lawrence making up more places in that Alpine, but he's 9/10 between him and Darth, and Lucas Rowe with the first 3-second time penalty for track limits of the day. Loses a ton of time as well to Sumo in the process. And well, we're going to see plenty of those today, trust me. If Canada is the track limits Grand Prix, but Kota is it's sort of I guess Academy affiliate in terms of a track limits Grand Prix. It's very easy to get track limits penalties around here, but Lucas Rowe doesn't care about the track limits penalty. He's going to look to the inside of the race leader into this left-hander on the end of the DRS straight, but Sumo defends well around the outside. Lucas Rowe tries to send it around the outside of the next corner, but loses the exit speed and goes wide as well, and Robsu tries to take advantage on those soft tyres, trying to go all the way around the outside. Lucas Rowe loses the rear a little bit, but it's not enough for Robsu to take advantage. Sumo still leads this race, but here comes the Finnish driver down the inside of the flat-out right-handers as Lucas Rowe makes a mistake. He's all the way round the outside of the penultimate corner. What a move from Robsu. He has had so many overtake of the season contenders so far. We're only on race 4. He's an incredible overtaker. I would even go as far to say I think Robsu is the best overtaker on the whole grid in Tier 2. Just the stuff he comes out with is astonishing as Ferrari dive bombs into turn 1 and shoves Alex wide a little bit. That was a little careless from the Spanish driver. He's just about gotten away with it, but I don't think Alex will be too happy as Lucas Rowe drops to P5 now. It's going to be P6 as Scott goes past him round the outside. And again on the exit of the next corner, is there damage to that Ferrari? I think there might be as he follows in behind the Haas again. But yeah, he's going wide at every corner. I think Lucas Rowe might have damage here. Darth Nihilus getting past Mania in the meantime, who's had an awful start to this Grand Prix. Qualified so high up, P3 I think he qualified, and now down to P8. It's going to be P9 as well, perhaps, as Lawrence draws alongside. But the DRS train very much active again. Robsu not quite close enough to Sumo to challenge for the lead, but these guys very close to each other. Lawrence down the inside of Mania into the left-hander. They're going to go side by side, wheel to wheel between mediums and softs, but Lawrence can't quite get the move done. Tries for the switchback but doesn't get a good enough exit, and has to stick behind the Aston Martin for now. In fact, goes very deep at the next corner, and Jakalaka has to follow him. It's not a good day for the Alpines so far, but remember, they tend to get better as the race goes on. So don't count them out just yet. There's a long, long way to go. Enchiladad and LB following along behind as well in the accursed DRS train around this circuit. Tier just about staying within the 1 second. In fact, no, he's lost the DRS down towards turn 1, so he's going to struggle here today. Not his favoured track, clearly, for the British driver as LB sends it down the inside of Enchiladad. I don't think he's going to be able to make that move stick. No, has to stick behind for now, but looking racy is the two-time Tier 2 champion. And of course Krauser 10 seconds down after his spin, looking to catch back up and get himself back in this race. We'll be hoping for a safety car, no doubt, at some point. Darth Nihilus, by the way, up to P7 on the hard tyres, and he's still in the DRS train. So keep an eye on the Mexican driver. He's got a lot to prove today. Well, he's on the strategy to be able to do exactly that as his DRS opens wide down this long straight. Scott's out of DRS range of the top 4, by the way. Lucas Rowe can't quite challenge him into the corner, but Scott losing a bit of time and could be losing his advantage here on those soft tyres already. Sumo still leads from Robsu on the softs, who's doing a better job at the moment of holding on to that top 4, but I think he's going to come under pressure from the medium tyre runners just behind very shortly. Alex G got back ahead of Ferrari, by the way. I don't know when that happened. I think probably on the DRS straight, but after that dive bomb from Ferrari into turn 1, I think Alex will feel that justice was done as he retakes that place. Robsu right behind Sumo. No overtakes being made into turn 1 at the moment. In the top 4 as they all follow each other along. Scott 1.7 seconds, 2 seconds now behind those front 4. So we're quickly splitting off into 2 distinct groups here in this race. Lucas Rowe following along behind the Haas through sector 1. He gets a little bit of a love tap maybe from Darth Nihilus just behind, but they both just about get away with it. It's Mania, Lawrence, Jacko, Enchiladad, LB and Tia back in the train. We've got a 8-car train for P5. 9-car train for P5 and a 4-car train for P1, and then Krauser a little way behind. So LB meanwhile getting past Enchiladad. Must have been a poor exit for the Williams. Lucas Rowe getting past Sumo as well for P5. As he looks to try and recover back to where he was before. He was running P2 just a few laps ago as Lucas Rowe. Now he finds himself 2 seconds back from P4. So a lot of catching up to do for the Italian driver. Daphne Hillis just behind as well, lurking on those hard tyres, doing a very, very good job. But Jackalacco, Enchiladad and Tier all in the mix as well on the same tyre compound. It's LB on the mediums, looking to make some progress as well, but hasn't been able to do much so far, thanks to the DRS train nature of this circuit. And Enchiladad, in fact, struggling to stay with those drivers ahead of him. The two Alpines swap positions in the meantime. Jacko up to P9. I think Lawrence is struggling on those softs. Perhaps team orders at Alpine. And Jacko now looking to challenge for some higher positions on those hard tyres. Jacko has been very vocal of his hatred for this track. So he'll just be searching for a decent result today, I think, is all you can really say. As long as he finishes sort of top 8 or so, I don't think he'll be too unhappy. We've got France next week, of course, and then Monaco. So there's still plenty to play for after this race. This is only the halfway point of the season. As Jacko perhaps lines up a move on Mania just ahead, but chooses not to dive bomb him into that left-hander very sensibly. Much better exit there as well, which perhaps starting to allude to the fact that the mediums aren't quite as good as they were a few laps ago. It's Scott again losing track from Lucas Rowe now. He seems to be a tough cookie to overtake, but doesn't really have the pace to challenge those top runners at the moment. Of course, extremely wide there at the penultimate corner. Gets himself DRS, or did he? No, he didn't get it. It's well before that corner, the detection point. Lawrence into the pits. He's had enough of those soft tyres. He is not happy on those, as Krauser's going to be able to gain a position here, perhaps, from Lawrence's pit stop. But Robsu now putting all the pressure on Sumo at the front of this race. Lawrence may be fed up of his soft tyres, but Robsu is flying on them, as is, well, Scott's not doing too badly either, but Robsu is challenging for the race lead here. Right behind the Mercedes. I don't think he's going to be too rush to make a move either, as Alex makes a mistake. He's struggled with tyre wear all season long, has Alex G, and today may be no different, as we see him make a mistake there. A little bit of contact between him and Ferrari, another snap of oversteer on the exit, and here comes the McLaren perhaps from Spain, as Robsu now looks to the inside of Sumo for the race lead, goes for it at the left-hander and makes the move on those soft tyres. Brilliant stuff from Robsu. He leads the American Grand Prix. Alex has defended from Ferrari as well, so it's a Mercedes 2-3 as it stands, but again, more oversteery moments for Alex G. He's really struggling at the moment on those tyres. And yeah, again, a huge slide. I don't know why he's struggling so much with tyre wear in these cars, but he has done all season. In fact, all year long, pretty much, Alex has struggled with tyre wear. As soon as his tyres start going down, he really struggles. And today looks to be no different, as he holds off Ferrari, but he's lost DRS to his teammate ahead, and surely the McLaren's going to be able to get past into turn 1. No, in fact, backs off, doesn't send it, and waits for a better opportunity down the next straight, I would have thought. And this allows Lucas Rowe to catch back up as well. Could allow Scott and the whole train behind him to get back in the battle too. Tier and Enchiladad have lost track of the top 10 in the meantime. They're 2 seconds down now. I really wonder what's happened to Enchiladad. I would guess there's damage to that Williams, and we just can't see it, as Lucas Rowe now on 6 seconds of penalties. So yeah, I don't think he's within contention for the win with that many penalties already, but who knows. At this unpredictable circuit, doesn't short shift into third on the left-hander there, so pays the price with a snap of oversteer, as Ferrari goes for another attempt on Alex G. Sumo elects to stay behind Robsu for now, but Ferrari is ahead before the braking zone, and he's up to P3, now trying to challenge the top two back again as LB, Mania and Jackalacco battling for P8. Mania keeps the position for now, but LB was there momentarily, and he's continuing to make progress. It's slow but steady for the two-time champion as Jackalacco follows in as well. These two have 3 Tier 2 Drivers' Championships between them, and Mania currently leading them through the final sector as it stands, but a lot of battling was going on there. As Ferrari 1.1, 1.2 behind the top two, not able to make any sort of progress. Here comes Sumo though, down towards turn 1, looks to the outside as Robsu holds in there. Sumo tries to get a better exit, but no sir, and he's going to have to wait for DRS on the long straight after sector 1. Lawrence sets the fastest lap on his new tyres as he tries to charge up. It's surely going to be a 2-stop now for the Alpine driver. So he's taken the gamble. He wasn't happy with those softs, so he's decided let's do a 2-stop instead. And the championship leader has got a lot of work to do by the looks of it. But Sumo Gilligan just behind Robsu still, breaks down into the left-hander pretty well. DRS is going to be enabled here. Ferrari though has caught back up, so Sumo's got to start looking behind him now as the McLaren driver, no longer his teammate, challenging him just behind. He looks to the inside, chooses not to send it. Very sensible stuff from Sumo there. As Darth Nihilus now sends it down the inside of Scott into the left-hander, but can't keep it. Can't get it done, loses too much speed on the exit, and Scott goes right up and under him and retakes that place. And in fact, they're back into the DRS train for the front of the field, and LB might well be as well. It's 1.01 seconds as they come to the activation point. I think he just about got the DRS, and huge implications there as Sumo comes into the pits. It's an early stop for the Mercedes. Robsu is still out there on softs, as is Scott. They're still very happy on those tyres by the looks of it. But Sumo takes the initiative, comes in for another set of mediums. It's a 2-stop for Sumo Gilligan. He's chosen to go for it, to go on the same strategy as Lawrence, who he's just come out well behind. The undercut's huge around here, and Sumo 2 seconds behind Lawrence as he comes out the pits, who was the driver who was P11 when Sumo was leading the race. As Krauser now gets past Tier for P13, or was that? I think that was just Tier coming out the pits actually. So Krauser will be glad to see another car on the track for the first time in 9 laps or so, but I don't think it's going to last too long as Tier much better tyres, and will surely make this overtake happen. Yeah, Krauser just lets him through. He's not going to battle him there. Jackalacco, meanwhile, gets past Mania for P8 with the DRS as the pit stops start coming in. Lucas Rowe right behind Alex, who's dropped off from the top 2. Still struggling for tyre wear is the Mercedes driver, and if I were him, I would go for the 2-stop. If tyre wear is this bad for him, and if the 2-stop really is viable, as most drivers or some drivers so far seem to think, then I think Alex should take the plunge as well and go for that 2-stop. Robsu's into the pits, and Alex has taken my advice and he's come in as well. Into the Mercedes garage. Robsu on those softs gets them off his car. Scott exits in P2 now thanks to all of the pit stops, and Ferrari has a 2-second lead at the front of the field with 11-lap-old mediums. He's surely looking like he's going for the 1-stop here. Otherwise he would have come in already, you would think, as Robsu exits the pits. He's about 1.5 seconds by the looks of it, 2.5 seconds in fact behind Sumo, the driver he was ahead of when he came in just 1 lap ago. So a huge undercut from Sumo. It's worked to perfection, and he's going to try and fly off now for this 2-stop. I do wonder what the better strategy is here. I don't have a clue. I haven't driven Kota in so long. I don't remember what the right strategy is. I seem to remember I did a 1-stop last time, but I don't know if that's correct. Most of Tier 2 seem to think it's a 2-stop, as Darth Nihilus sees the flashing red light on the back of that Haas. He knows Scott's vulnerable, but he brakes very late there. Just about avoids rear-ending Scott into the left-hander, as Lucas Rowe now gets past Krauser for P13. And it's a miserable day for this man, unfortunately. The man who finished third in the standings just 3 seasons ago. Just seems to be on a slump in form at the moment. I don't know if real life circumstances, perhaps he's busier these days, and that's perfectly understandable. But Scott comes into the pits. Jacko follows him, as does Mania. They've seen how strong the undercut is now. Maybe Scott hasn't, but certainly Jacko and Mania have. Via their teammates. Enchilada Dad stays out, so he goes up to P4, and Lawrence is up to 5th position as a result of all those pit stops now. Due to that very early undercut, but he's going to come under a lot of pressure here from his rival. Sumo, Gilligan and Lawrence are going to go wheel to wheel on track. This is what we've been waiting for, everyone, for 2 seasons. They haven't really had a wheel to wheel battle in all this time, but now Lawrence is the slow car and Sumo is the one trying to get past. We'll see what he can do. Sumo's got a point to prove here, and Lawrence has got some pride as well. Hold dear or to swallow if Sumo can get his way past. LB, meanwhile, gets past Darth for what is P2 on track right now as a result of the DRS. Sumo just behind Lawrence. He's 3/10 behind. Is he going to send it? Yes, he is. Of course he's going to send it on Lawrence. Locks the front. Lawrence tries to get the better exit. Goes the up and under for the outside. Lawrence is going to try again on the exit in the next corner, but he can't do it. Sumo is ahead. Lawrence is not going to dive bomb him into the next corner. They may be rivals, but they do have respect for each other. And Lawrence is just going to have to back down and stay behind Sumo for now. But if he can stay within the DRS, he'll still have a chance here as Rafferrari comes into the pits for what is surely a set of hard tyres to the end. Robsu with a time penalty as well for track limits. I'm surprised there haven't been that many so far. Only 2 people with track limits penalties at the moment. So maybe they won't be as prevalent as I thought they would, as Lawrence does have the DRS down to turn 1 but can't make a move on the Mercedes driver as Sumo speeds away on the exit. Rafferrari exits the pits in P8, just about getting the better of Tier. That's crucial to get past him, but those hard tyres are not going to serve him well here. I think the 2-stop might be the way to go, but who knows at this point. We'll see what Rafferrari's pace is like on the hards. That's going to be the crucial thing. If he's got good pace, he's got a really good chance of winning this race. If the 1-stop is indeed the better strategy, but the 2-stop's a lot more fun. I'll give him that. As Darth Nihilus now re-overtakes LB for the lead of the American Grand Prix. Up to P1 on the hard tyres, will surely come in for the mediums soon-ish, either this lap or next. Robsu getting past Alex, meanwhile, for 6th place on track. As Lawrence and Sumo continue to do battle, but Lawrence not able to make any sort of move on the Mercedes, and now he's got Robsu chasing him down in that Alpha Tauri. The Finnish driver is a man on a mission so far today. As Tier and Rafferrari doing battle as well. Tier getting past the McLaren, those hard tyres. He's struggling, is the Spanish driver. Compared to all the fresh mediums around him, Jack Alaco, Scott and Mania, none of them slow drivers. They're all on fresh medium tyres right behind this hard tyre struggling McLaren. And Rafferrari could be in for a bad time here in the next few laps, but he's going to try and get past Tier here down towards turn 1. He's not going to use the overtake button, but he's going to approach very quickly. Look at that overspeed as he sends it down the inside for turn 1. Tier leaves him plenty of room. Tier leaves him, in fact, pretty much a Canada's worth of room. And Rafferrari gets his way back through, but Tier will have the DRS down towards the next corner as LB is the next to get himself a track limits penalty in the Alpha Tauri. And that's going to be a struggle for the man who started this race from the back of the grid with that qualifying ban. And now DRS open down towards the next corner on Darth Nihilus. He's going to use that overtake button. He's going to try and retake the lead of the Grand Prix, even though neither driver has pitted yet. Alex G now getting one. Here come the track limits penalties. Darth Nihilus nearly into the back of LB there, just about avoiding him, as Sumo gets his way past Enchilada Dad now for P3 as he chases down the top two. 5 seconds in it between him and Darth Nihilus. Enchilada Robsu getting his way past Lawrence. In the meantime, Lawrence on 4-lap older tyres. Robsu all the way round the outside. Can he make it stick? Yes, of course he can. It's Robsu. Of course he can make an outrageous overtake stick as he gets his way up to P5. And now Enchilada Dad next on the menu. 14-lap old hard tyres, and he peels into the pits, as do LB and Darth. So Sumo's going to retake the lead of the race with Robsu in P2, but not in DRS range, crucially, of Sumo Gilligan. He does have it from the driver that's just pitted, but can he get those 3/10 in Sector 1 to have the DRS down the main straight as Alex G gets his way past Lawrence? A daring move into turn 1 from the Mercedes driver. And now Robsu is next up. He's going to try and slow Robsu down perhaps, but that's an awful line through Sector 1. That's going to cost him a ton of time. And indeed, it's cost him 3 or 4 tenths on Robsu in the end. But Lawrence taking a similarly poor line through the next couple corners. So Alex not under pressure from behind. But Lawrence, 8-lap old medium tyres. He came in early, he got the massive undercut, but now is paying the price as Lucas Rowe now up to 9 seconds of track limits penalties as Krauser comes into the pits for a fresh set of mediums, 22 seconds down on the field. It's not been a day to remember for Krauser, unfortunately. But all 14 cars still in this Grand Prix, so huge credit to Tier 2 so far, as Scott gets past here for P7. He's nearly hits Jacko as they head into the left-hander, but Jacko just about sees him coming. And Scott up to P7, trying to challenge further up the grid. He's had a great race so far, has Scott. And Jacko and Lawrence aren't doing too badly either, considering where they started. They got those... well, Lawrence got that massive undercut in. He's going to be on the 2-stop. These guys, you would think, are going to be on the... well, Jacko, Scott and Tier. Jacko, Scott and Mania all on the 1-stop, but... in fact, I'm not sure what tyres they started on. I think they all started on hard, so yeah, 1 stop for those guys. In fact, it really could be anyone who still wins this race. Ferrari's managed to build a 1.3 second gap to Jackalacco now, and there's a real possibility here that Jacko starts this race in P10 and picks the better strategy and finishes it in second place, because that's currently as it stands. All the top 4 have to come in again, you would think, as but Jacko, he started on the hards, so he doesn't have to pit again. He will be on much worse tyres at the end, but he's not that far behind them. Only, let's see, gap from the leader he's only 7 seconds behind Sumo, and there's a real possibility here for Jacko to get a great podium result here out of nothing. And there's an even better possibility for Ferrari, who's on the hard tyres to the end, to win this Grand Prix, as LB makes another move on the soft tyres that he's strapped on, and he's up to P10. Keep an eye on him. Soft tyre clad AlphaTauri, compared to everyone else on mediums that are 3 or 4 laps older than his. He's going to be a man on a mission here, LB. He may have that time penalty, but he's going to be making some daring overtakes, I would imagine, over the next few laps. As meanwhile, Sumo has come under pressure from the Finnish driver. Robsu is within DRS range now. He's made it work. Alex G has fallen out of said range and is now under pressure from Lawrence just behind, as LB unsurprisingly sets the fastest lap and makes his way past Mania for P9 in this race as he continues his climb up the field. Darth Nihilus also, he came into the pits a couple laps ago, and he's proving it now with much better tyres than everyone else. He's up to P11 as Lucas Rowe, the struggling Ferrari, started this race so high up and was in P2 for a few laps at the start of this race, now down in 12th place. By the looks of things, on merit, he just doesn't have the pace on those hard tyres right now. But we have to cut back to the front because it's Sumo 5/10 ahead of Robsu. Can the AlphaTauri driver make a move into the left-hander? The answer is no, he's too far back. Not interested at the moment. It looks like Sumo has great straight line speed as Lawrence makes his way past Sumo's teammate Alex G down to P4. Little slide on the exit, but Lawrence up into the top 3 on 10-lap-old mediums. He's got to stop again. He's got no ERS left, but he's really putting in the hard graft to get a result out of this one, is Lawrence, and he's doing a good job. Like I said, the Alpines, they only get better as the race goes on, and they're proving it yet again today, as Ferrari looks to close them down as well. He's 2 seconds behind Alex G. Scott just there as well. He's gotten past Jacko for P6 as Lawrence finally comes into the pits. It's going to be soft tyres to the end for the Alpine driver, but he's got a lot of catching up to do. He's going to be a long way behind as he exits the pits. We'll see just how long behind he is. Mania also in for his scheduled stop, and that 2-stop suddenly not looking quite so appealing anymore as Darth Nihilus makes his way past Tier for P8. Jackalacco right behind Scott. LB just there as well on those fresh soft tyres, and LB got a job to do here. He needs to gain some points here on his championship rivals, the 2 Alpines. He's got one of them ahead of him. Lawrence is now well behind him. He's come out, let's see, he was some maybe 2 or 3 seconds behind the leader when he stopped. He's now 20 seconds behind. A lot of work to do for Lawrence D. Same for Mania. Lawrence has gone into the mediums though, to the end of this one. So no soft tyres for Lawrence as Robsu makes his way past Sumo. Sumo down to P2. He sends it down the inside of the next right-hander though. They're still side by side for the lead of this race. Scott and LB were battling as well. I think it was Jackalacco actually, but Robsu makes its way past and now leads the American Grand Prix from the Mercedes of Sumo. By half a second now. Alex G 2 seconds behind, Ferrari 1.5 behind him, and Jackalacco, Scott and LB battling hard for this P5 position on track. Darth Nihilus right there as well. Just behind LB, nearly taps the back of the AlphaTauri heading into the last corner, but a big mistake from Scott could leave him very open to being mugged on the straight down towards turn 1, and it has done. Darth looking to make 2 overtakes in 1 as he sends it down the inside. The Scott turns in and hits LB. There's contact on the exit as well. Darth Nihilus though gets his way through. He's got no ERS left though. LB's still got 50%, so LB now knows he's vulnerable, but completely cuts that corner. That'll definitely have been a track limits warning, and Scott's right behind as well. It's ferocious battling in the midfield here. Darth Nihilus now gets himself a penalty for track limits as he tries to stay on board with Jacko. He's doing that so far. Lucas Rowe's not too far behind either, but Lawrence has got a lot of work to do. He's 4.5 seconds behind Enchilada Dad. He's 7 seconds behind the pack that we were watching here as Sumo and Robsu are wheel to wheel again. Robsu down the inside of the Mercedes driver as they head through sector 2. Sumo into the final sector, leads the Grand Prix again. But Robsu's right behind. They nearly lock tyres there. That could have been a disaster for both of them, more so for Sumo. I would have predicted if they had made contact there, but Robsu just about avoids clipping the Mercedes as they head through. They're still 1.5 seconds clear of Alex, but with 8 laps to go in this Grand Prix now, Sumo peels into the pits for his scheduled pit stop. He went for the 2-stop and he might end up regretting it here. He's going to fall all the way down. He might even fall behind Lawrence here. We'll have to find out. It's going to be soft tyres to the end for Sumo. Where's Lawrence? He's coming through the final corner now. He's going to see Sumo come out the pits on his left-hand side. Darth and LB battling as well, but we've got to keep an eye on this. Lawrence, where's Sumo? Where's Sumo? He's behind him. Sumo down to P11 after his pit stop, and look at this. 2 seconds behind Lawrence with 8 laps to go. And Sumo Gilligan, has he thrown it away with a poor strategy? I do wonder. Robsu leads this Grand Prix still from Alex G. As Ferrari now in the driving seat. He's on the hard tyres. He's going to be better towards the end of the race than everyone ahead of him. Maybe not everyone behind him because LB is on the softs, but even his tyres will start losing their willpower towards the end of this one. And he's going to just sail past the Red Bull of Darth Nihilus for P4. With the DRS, as Darth is out of his energy in his battery. Jackalacco on the hunt as well, in the mix, in the top 6. He's not looking too bad at the moment. Scott's just behind them, but Lucas with 4 seconds behind, so he's too far behind, I would have thought. Sumo is going to give it everything now in these last 7.5 laps to try and gain as many positions as he can on those fresh soft tyres, but there's a real risk that he'll give it too much and end up binning it. We'll have to find out. Lucas Rowe into the pits. He's got 12 seconds of penalties now. Alex G into the pits as well for fresh softs. Lucas Rowe, a 5-second penalty for speeding as well in the pit lane, and it's an early retirement. The first retirement of the race on lap 22 of 28. Lucas Rowe, what a disastrous result for the Ferrari driver. It could have been so much more, but it's ended up as a DNF in the pit lane. Robsu now leads this race by 3.5 seconds from Ferrari. There must have been a mistake from the McLaren driver, surely, because he's now under pressure from LB as well, and he's lost maybe 1.5 to 2 seconds to the AlphaTauri. So a lot of work to do for Ferrari. He's only got 30% battery as well to defend from this rampaging AlphaTauri of LB Racing. Shame for the DNF, yeah, I agree, Ash. That's a big shame. I would have hoped he would have gone to the end. But it's LB ahead of Darth Nihilus and Ferrari. Darth Nihilus going for it as well, trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and he does it. Ferrari down 2 places in 1 straight, down to P4. But those hard tyres are going to be a little better towards the end, but that's going to be no consolation for him at the moment as he has a big slide out of the left-hander. He seems to be struggling despite that. And Jackalacco's going to look to pounce. The battery is about 20% difference between them. Scott M89 is right there as well. Enchiladadad, by the way, is recovered to P7. After being right at the back for the majority of this race, but he's got the absolutely flying Lawrence and Sumo just behind. Maybe it's not over yet. Sumo sets the fastest lap, and here he comes, DRS down the inside of Lawrence D for P8, and Sumo gets up into that top 8 position and continues his fight back. It's going to be 5 seconds to the rest of the pack once he gets past Enchiladadad, but if they keep battling the way they are doing, there's every chance he can still finish this race on the podium here, Sumo. LB up to P2 in the meantime. It's an AlphaTauri 1-2, by the way. 3 seconds to all of the top 3, and Scott as well. Alex and Tia also on 3 seconds of penalties. But AlphaTauri in a direct 1-2. There's other than Jackalacco behind them, who yet again out of nothing somehow is up there in podium contention. But here comes Ferrari to spoil the party for the defending champion. Perhaps doesn't send it into turn 1, but Scott breaks a little too late there perhaps, and it just clips the back of Ferrari but gets away with it. Lawrence and Sumo both get past the stricken Williams of Enchiladadad, who just hasn't been on the pace today, unfortunately for him. He's down to P9 now, and is going to come under pressure from Alex very soon. But Sumo, 4 seconds now to the rest of the pack. It's not over yet. It's going to be 3-lap-old soft tyres on that Mercedes. Lawrence is right behind him. He's not going to let him go without a fight here. And as soon as Sumo catches up to the pack, gets in that DRS train, Lawrence is going to have every chance of getting back past him again. Although Sumo is looking imperious in corner exits right now as Ferrari is round 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. That's very harsh. He'll surely get that removed in stewards, but I don't know if there was contact, if he just binned it on the exit or on entry, if he locked the rears. I do not know, but he's lost a ton of time, and now Sumo is right behind him and is going to be looking to make this overtake, but he's got to be careful because the McLaren's so much slower than him at this point in time. Lawrence is going to be able to catch back up as a result. Here comes Sumo. Is he going to get the DRS? Yes, it's clever overtaking from Sumo. He makes the overtake into the left-hander, a bit of wheel banging, but no harm done, and he's going to have the DRS now, but Lawrence is right behind with no ERS left, but Sumo doesn't know that until he overtakes him. LB and Darth side by side as well, but we've got to keep an eye on this. Sumo stays ahead of Lawrence, but Lawrence sends it into the corner, but just about gets away with it. Sumo leaves him the room, and Lawrence has to back out of it on the exit. Much better exit from the Mercedes driver as he's up to P6 now. 2.5 seconds to Scott. 4.5 laps left to go. Darth Nihilus and Jacko battling for P3 on track. Sorry, Darth Nihilus and LB battling for P2 on track is what I should say. Jack Alacco now 3 seconds behind them, so no longer in podium contention unless they start battling more and more, and that's exactly what they're doing. Darth Nihilus with no ERS left sends it to the inside of turn 1 and makes that move stick. LB on 30%, so he's got the advantage there. Enchilada Dad gets past Rafferrari. What a horrible, horrible ending to this race it's been for the McLaren driver, who looked like he was on for a possible race win today, and now he's down to P10 with not really any way of catching back up unless there's a very late safety car. I can't see that happening at the moment, the way everyone's driving. There could be damage to that McLaren. I think maybe he hit the back of the car ahead and spun himself round and got himself some damage perhaps, as Alex G now using those soft tyres to full effect, getting past the Williams. Surely will get past the Williams on the next DRS straight, I would think, despite the ERS disadvantage. Oh, but a big slide on the exit though, so perhaps not. Sumo within 1.5 seconds of Scott now. It's still very possible for Sumo to win this race. Here comes Alex, and he makes the move on Enchilada Dad, and the Williams has a half-hearted look to the inside, but he knew it was over, and Alex up to P8 in that Mercedes, despite the penalty, which will drop him down a little bit at the end as it stands. Meanwhile, Lawrence still following Sumo. He's getting Sumo to drag him along towards the front runners. Sumo now nearly within DRS of Scott. He's not going to get it down towards turn 1. Will surely get it in the middle sector. And it is far from over here. 3 laps to go in the American Grand Prix, and Sumo Gilligan is going for a race win. He's 7 tenths behind Scott, but now here's the big challenge. He's got a DRS train ahead of him, and a big snap out of turn 1 is going to cost him dearly, perhaps. He needs to get hold of the car through sector 1. Make sure that doesn't happen again, because he needs to get the DRS if he wants any chance of winning this race at all. But at the moment, he just hasn't got the confidence in the car after that little snap. Loses a bit of time. Does he lose more time through sector 1? Where's the activation point? It's on the exit here. 1 second, 1.01 seconds. Use your ERS, Sumo. He hasn't. And he's not going to get the DRS. And that's surely his chance of a race win evaporated. Jack Alacco under pressure from Scott in the meantime. He's going to have the DRS. But he's got the ERS as well, but he's run out just before the end of the straight. He's not going to be able to make that move. Robsu and Darth Nihilus going wheel to wheel, and Darth Nihilus takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Robsu starting to struggle now. 14 lap old medium tyres, and it's really kicking in. LB's got 10 lap old softs as well, but the softs were pretty good in the first stint for everyone except Lawrence. Has now Sumo right behind Scott, but he's got a huge amount to do in the next 2 laps to even get on the podium here, because he's 4.7 seconds behind LB. And I think the only way he can get a podium here is a mistake from the top 3, or one of Jacko and Scott basically letting him through, and that might be exactly what's about to happen. Scott defends to the inside. No, he's not going to let Sumo through. He's going to defend, and Sumo tries to swing around the outside but can't quite do it, loses some time, and this is just costing Sumo his chances of a podium and that elusive podium interview that he's been wanting. There's 2 laps to go now. Alex G getting himself another time penalty. He's up to 6 seconds down in P8 there. But the Mercedes, they had a 1-2, a front row lockout in qualifying, and they're sitting P6 and 7. Here comes Lawrence on Sumo Gilligan. He's going to go down the inside into the left-hander before the DRS. Sumo has to swing around the outside, but Lawrence is going to get a decent exit here. Does he have enough ERS to challenge? Not really, but neither does Sumo anymore, neither does Scott. Robsu and Darth side by side. Robsu trying to make the move, but he can't quite do it. LB starting to struggle on his softs as well. It's not over. Sumo can't quite get past Scott, but keeps Lawrence behind, and they're going to go wheel to wheel on the final lap for the last places on the podium. Jackalacco is P4 at the moment, but he could well get P3 at this rate, with LB struggling so much. We've got to keep an eye on the front though, because Darth and Robsu are battling for the race win. We've been focusing on Sumo and Lawrence. LB with 6 seconds of penalties, and now the race for the podium is well and truly underway. Jackalacco is now in a net podium position. Here comes Sumo down the inside of Scott for down towards turn 1. It's the final lap of the race. Who's going to take the last spots on the podium? I could not tell you. I don't even know who's going to win the race between Darth and Robsu. Lawrence trying to find his way past Scott as well. Sumo makes the move. He's made it stick. Lawrence and Scott side by side through sector 1. That's Lawrence backs out sensibly. This has been amazing racing tier 2. Fantastic job here at Kota. Absolutely loved this. Lawrence now round the outside is going to be the inside for the next corner, but he has to back out. He's not quite alongside. And Sumo now trying to get past Jacko. If he can get past Jacko here, he will be on the podium. He's got 1 straight to do it. Robsu, meanwhile, going for the overtake for the lead, but he's 8 tenths behind. Darth has managed to pull a gap in sector 1. Robsu not quite close enough to send it into the next corner, and he's going to have to stay behind and hope that Darth makes a mistake. Here comes Sumo on Jackalacco round the outside of the Alpine driver for what will be P3 at the end of the day. He goes down the inside. There's a bit of wheel banging, a bit of contact between the two, but Sumo gets past. He's up to P4, but Jacko sends it down the inside of the next corner. It's a beautiful move from the defending champion. He keeps Sumo behind. It could be heartbreak for Sumo and all his fans in the chat. Robsu is going to the last corner. Can he make any sort of move on Darth to the end? No. Darth Nihilus wins the American Grand Prix. LB across the line in P3. Who's going to be P3 at the end though? It's going to be Jackalacco. It's heartbreak for Sumo. Lawrence finishes P5. LB is P6 in the end. Enchilada Dad finishes P7. Scott all the way down to P8. I don't know what happened. He must have spun there. That must have been what the yellow flag was for. Alex G in P9 in the end. Mercedes turn a front row lockout into 4th and 9th. Mania in P10 in the end as well after his brilliant qualifying. Ferrari down in P12. Another dismal story of this race, unfortunately for him. It could have been so much more. It's 12th place though. Tier in P11, he didn't have much pace today, and Krauser, a spin on lap 2, never really got a chance to recover, but did set the fastest lap at the end at least, so gets the extra point. What a race indeed in Ashelot. Could not agree more. But it's total heartbreak for Sumo. Oh dear, oh dear. And Robsu, by the way, P2 in this race. He is back in this championship fight with LB finishing so far down. Obviously, Jacko got P3, so he's not going to gain too many points. But let's see. Standings. Yeah, Robsu is 13 points behind Lawrence, 10 points behind Jacko. So he'll gain 2 points on Jacko today, and he'll gain 2, 4, 5 points on Lawrence. So Robsu is going to be only 8 points behind the championship lead at the halfway stage. Could it be his season? But for now, Darth Nihilus takes the race win, the Season 6 Tier 2 champion. It's been a bit of a lackluster season start for him so far. He's definitely had pace, but hasn't had the results until now. P1 for him on the day, with Robsu finishing in second place. Jackalacko in P3, snatching it from Sumo, with Lawrence down in P5. At least Sumo beat Lawrence. Then LB, Enchilada Dad, Scott down in P8. Don't know what happened to him on the last lap. Alex G, Mania, Tier, Rafferrari could have had so much more. Krauser never got the chance to recover from his spin on lap 2, but took the fastest lap. And then Lucas Rowe retiring in the pit lane. Whew, chance to breathe. Wow, we're going to move on to interviews for the podiums in just a second, so stay put. But wow, what a Grand Prix that was. What a race from Tier 2. That was absolutely fantastic. Usually Kota is a bit of an incident nightmare, but today not so. Fantastic racing. Looks like we've got Robsu in the party, so we'll just wait for Darth. Is Darth even in this group? Hang on a second. It's okay. And he's just joined the party, so we'll wait for Jackalacko to join, and then we'll start the interviews. And there he is. So, our top 3 join us in the booth. Darth Nihilus, our race winner. It's been a while. Season 6 champion, of course, but you haven't won a race in Tier 2 for a while. You haven't raced in Tier 2 for a while, so it must feel good to be back on the top step after such a grueling race and a fantastic battle at the end.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. The one that got away, it was really hard for the couple of races, making mistakes in good positions, but finally it came here. It was really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was. I wouldn't say a chaotic race. That was last week. This was more of a very tactical, but very intense race. I don't know if you would agree, but it was. Certainly from my perspective, I could not tell who was going to win at any point in this Grand Prix. But just talk us through strategy, because there was a lot of variation in strategy on the grid today. I believe you went for a one-stop. Was that always the plan, or did you have any doubts when you saw people go for a two-stop?
No. The one was always the plan, hard, medium. Like that's always the fastest in this game. I was actually really surprised to see many people on softs. I was also making good progress hard at the beginning of the race, so I came like a little bit stuck behind a full soft train, and then there was like, okay, I have some chances here because everyone will have to pit twice at this point. Like it's just keeping it clean, and then not getting stuck. And at some point, I managed to get along with LB, and we managed to do like work together a little bit. So I think that was key as well. The last stint was just following LB. I knew he had up, so I would have an advantage at the end. And Rob, so I don't know how old were his mediums compared to mine, so I think I had a good tire advantage at the end there.
Yeah, you did. It was about 3 laps, I think, 2 or 3. But you still did very well to defend at the end. Was there any moment in this race that stood out for you, or was it just breakneck from start to finish?
Oh no, there was an overtake with LB and Scott, like
Yeah.
in going to turn one. I went like to the inside, and like LB just crossed, and I was like, whoa, taking evading action, but managed to keep both positions. So thankfully it went well. It could have been very worse.
Well, absolutely. Congratulations on your race win, Darth, and welcome back to the top step of the podium. And yeah, good luck for the rest of the season. Are you thinking of taking a permanent seat, perhaps? Now we're at the halfway stage, or just going to stay as a reserve?
I will probably stay as a reserve, at least for the next 2 weeks, and depending on some personal stuff, then I might be able to make it full time or not. But like, I would rather go reserve, so anyone that can and wants to do a full time can do it without a problem.
Okie doke, no worries. But well, good luck with everything, Darth, and congratulations today.
Thanks, Ghost. Thank you to everyone. It was an amazing race.
Couldn't agree more with that. Well, we come to our second place finisher, who was gutted in the chat that he didn't get the race win. He was so close. But Robsu, still a great performance, and you close your gap back to the top runners in the championship. How was that race for you?
Well, first of all, congrats to Darth. Did an amazing job. But I mean, the race was it was fun. Not a lot of eventful for me, I'd say. Strategy was always with soft to medium. I wanted to try something new, and well, everything went to the plan until the last laps, I'd say.
Yeah, you really seem to be. You had a pretty strong lead for a while, and then the last sort of 4 or 5 laps it started tumbling down, and you started struggling on the tires. What was the percent like at the end? Was it really hard to get the tires round the corners without spinning?
It was, yeah. I'm not sure what the percentage was. I didn't look at it, but yeah, it was at the end. It was tough. It was tough, yeah.
Well, it was still a fantastic performance, and Sumo was very excited in the chat, despite missing out on the podium. But yeah, it was a brilliant fighting performance from you at the end there. When Darth got past you, I thought that was race over, and then suddenly you were straight back at him at the next lap. Were you aware of the tire disadvantage you had, or were you just absolutely sending it?
No, I had no idea what the tire situation was, so I was just sending it.
Well, I named you as probably the best overtaker on the Tier 2 grid, and I stand by that with some great moves today.
Thank you.
But congratulations on the podium. I believe you're now only 8 points behind the championship lead at the halfway stage. How are you feeling for the rest of the season? Do you think that are you thinking about the championship, or just taking it race by race and seeing what's gonna happen?
Well, now I'm thinking about the championship, but I mean, I don't know. Let's see. I mean, if the pace stays like this and the penalties stays pretty minimum, I'd say, and let's see.
Well, wise words, and congratulations today on P2, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, mate.
And now we come to public enemy number one.
Please don't shoot me, I've got a family. Please.
The party pooper, Jackalacko. Well, it's a podium for you today. And a fantastic drive, given how long you spent the race in P10 or around that area. But I'll ask the same question to you on strategy first of all. Was there any real doubts in your mind with the one stop when pretty much half the grid seemed to go for a two stop, or were you fully committed and you knew the one stop was better?
No, I had no idea what I was doing. Started with the intention of going one stop, and then switched to two stop when I pitted for the first time, and well, the only time. And then I thought, nah, just go for it. I've been sitting P10, P9 the whole race. Just go for it. And by I had 70% at the end, I think. So just by the skin of my teeth, I got third.
Oh, well, I mean, it was a tough battle in the end. You were battling with LB, although once he got past, he was off with the softs, despite the penalties. You were battling with Scott, you were battling with, of course, Sumo at the end, and Lawrence and Tia. I mean, you seem to be battling at one point with every single driver on the grid. So, was it a grueling race for you?
It was a fun race, to be honest. I enjoyed the battling. But yeah, it was that last 6-5 laps was horrible, just especially through the S's. But somehow found the grip to dive bomb Sumo and actually make it work as well.
Yeah, I saw that. I couldn't believe that you got the exit speed. I thought surely he'll get you on the exit, and then no, you stayed.
I don't know how I got stopped. I watched Sumo's POV and I'm like, it's perfect because they don't really make much contact, but he has to back out of it to not make contact. So all was fair on my point, I feel. So, but yeah, I think it felt like good old sprint days for Sumo, but I think he's probably gonna hate me now. If you watch his stream, it's another famous clip of Sumo's.
Oh no! Okay, we've got to watch that later. Well, it is, I believe, the joint championship lead with Lawrence now at the halfway stage. And of course, Alpine still lead the constructors, but AlphaTauri are still hovering around. Are you feeling confident going into the next half of the season? Of course, we have tracks like Monaco and Zandvoort coming up, so it's far from plain sailing. But how are you feeling for the rest of the season?
Feeling good. Canada and Kota were my two bad tracks, and to get 2 third places out of them, I'm very happy. So I think these next 4 tracks suit me better, and me and Lawrence are a good dynamic. We split the strategy today, which I think was the smart thing to do. So yeah, I'm confident. Well,
that title defence is well on the way, perhaps, but we shall see.
Don't jinx me.
4 rounds to go. I'll try not to. I mean, I said Sumo's name often enough today, and he still managed to finish the race well, even if he didn't get the podium. So maybe
I think,
maybe my cursing talents have fallen. But no, well done, Jack, today. Despite becoming a target of hitmen around the world. And congratulations on the podium.
Thank you.
So that's it for today's race in Kota. What a Grand Prix. Absolutely outstanding race from Tier 2. There was fantastic battling up and down the grid. And only one DNF in the pit lane. It wasn't even a crash. So well done, Tier 2 today. And well, keep it going, guys. Fantastic stuff. My driver of the day from today, it's so difficult. There's so many drivers who could get it. Sumo's demanding it in the chat. Under normal circumstances, someone who started on pole and finished P4 after picking the wrong strategy, I would not consider giving driver of the day to. But because it's Sumo's best drive since he started back on Tier 2 by a considerable margin, I think I will give Sumo Driver of the Day today. So there we have it. Thank you all very much for watching. We will see you next week for more Tier 2. We'll be in France at Paul Ricard Circuit. Should be a decent race. I mean, if this race is anything to go by, it's going to be an unmissable race. So see you then. Sumo's very excited in the chat. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week for more Tier 2. Goodbye.